Well, I mean, it's all almost over now. Everything's starting to go back into normalcy, if that's even the thing. But for those who had troubles during the pandemic and everything, I just want to say don't give up. Keep listening to music. And like I told the younger guys, keep rocking and never give up on what you think you can do because, you keep at it. You have a passion, it can go a long way. And as long as we have each other in this little rock community or music community for that matter, doesn't matter what genre you like, everything should be fine. Just keep going to concerts, go see the bands, because that's another point. You don't know when the last time you'll see them. Taylor Hawkins, of course, rest in peace. And go out, live your life, do your dreams. You'll be successful. All I got to say.
Do you work multiple jobs? I guess, is there one main job, then there's like a part-time job?
Yeah, I told you before, like the hotel business, I've done that for so long. And I worked there part-time on the weekends and full-time as a server at a restaurant. And I never did food industry until about a year ago. And I learned all about it. You get to know people, you get to experience what it's like. I even heard an interview on one time. I think he interviewed Anthony Bourdain about something. He's like, I think you're better prepared for life if you try food service, like even if you're a cook, a dishwasher, whatever the case, at least some point in your life. And the world would be a kinder place if more people did it. Those were his words, not mine. But it's fun. You're on your feet a lot. You might get overwhelmed at times, especially those holiday brunches. Oh, God. At the end of the day, you're all working as one. It's all family, and we all go drinking afterwards. Party! That got busy tonight, but we made it through, people.
Actually, I was kind of the same way too, because I work a accounting job, and then I come over. I now changed it to, because the schedule always varied too, but I always do like Monday, Friday, and Saturday. So you can imagine how Friday and Saturday can sometimes be. So.
Oh yeah. Well, at my place, it's a little different because we have events for various people. It's like an event center as well. We had none on a couple Saturdays ago. All of a sudden, all these walk-ins started coming in. I was like, oh, we went through all these bottles of liquor and everything. And it's like, oh, geez, where did all this come from? I'm like, well, we made it through, as long as you make it through and everyone's good at the end of the night. That's all that matters. So everything's temporary. You got to think of it that way.
Temporary truce, as we probably like to say. So I can see what you mean. Actually, how is that restaurant? Is it like real big pub and everything too, or is it kind of like your traditional sort of bar and grill?
It's like I'm trying to describe it. It's called Pinstripes, and there's multiple locations around the U.S. Event center / bowling alley / dining room. We got 2 bars, one upstairs, one down. So you could think of it as like a traditional American and Italian place. We got everything from pizzas to salads to even cool sandwiches, and a brunch buffet that runs Saturday and Sunday. So
I was gonna say it sounds a lot like what Kid Rock's sort of restaurant venue is like in Nashville, because that's where my parents went, and nice. That was October 22. This was the first time we actually got COVID, because we actually went 2 or 3 quarters of a year without getting COVID.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Playing it safe. We traveled a little bit too, maybe a couple here and there when they were like saying like you could travel, just wear a mask here and there.
Right.
So
even on the airplanes, it's like that's what I did a lot. The first trip I took was actually to Las Cruces, New Mexico. I flew to El Paso, and everyone has still had the mask on the plane. And that was another state that kind of partially opened about a year later. It was still under strict COVID things, but you could still have fun. It's just like trying to be careful, but how can you be careful? That kind of thing. In Texas, we didn't really close at all. It was like a month, and then they were back to people eating at restaurants. It was like, 40%, 30%, that kind of stuff. And it was like, we never really closed down, maybe for like 4 weeks, but that was it.
Yeah, it wasn't like the 2 weeks like they had promised to, but I guess you guys were the quickest next to Florida as well.
Oh yeah, and even like when bars started to open up, like, oh, here's a loophole. If you can open as a restaurant, you're good to go. Like, okay, there are going to be a lot of like looks at this one. There's going to be things written about everybody. It's neither here nor there, though. I mean, that was crazy times for sure.
As long as we didn't get laid off, we at least got away with it. So
sure. Yeah, 4 months. I mean, nice little vacation, but
that too, yeah. All right. But in all seriousness, good to see y'all doing well too. And congrats to Greg Biggio for his 3,000 hit, even though it's way late to be honest, and for the Houston Astros, even after all the drama they kind of went through too, because the sign stealing was it, and I guess what else did they accuse him of?
Well, it's not just the sign stealing, but just like Altuve with the buzzer on his thing and whatever when they played the Yankees in that championship series. But in all honesty, I think it fueled their fire for the next season because once they went back to Yankee Stadium, home run right off the pitcher. And it's like I always tell people, you shouldn't boo us. It makes us confident. So it's like sadly, like the New England Patriots story from back in the day. But it's what their dynasty is, and we're seeming to have a good run for at least 5 more years if we can keep Altuve and Bregman and Alvarez. So
yeah, that's for sure too. Actually, no, it's a good point you brought that up with. Now you're kind of comparing yourself to how the Patriots were because they still won the championships, the Super Bowls, and everything too. So maybe that's what's going to happen here.
Could be. I mean, they did get that one Super Bowl was like 18-1 or something. They got critically punished last minute for Spygate. And I was like, I remember that. Eli Manning, best game of his life. But yeah, I think a Patriots-esque dynasty. There might only be a few chances to do it if these younger prospects, like the Rangers or something, if somehow they have another magical year, the division's competitive. Sad to say. I always tell people enjoy the moment now because you don't know when we're going to suck again because they did for so long, 100 lost seasons. I was all part of that, so it was dark times. Oh, jeez.
The dark ages of the baseball season. So
pretty much.
No, you're in line. At least you guys won something. It's been, I think it was 79 last time we've won the World Series for the Pittsburgh Pirates. So, I mean.
Oh, yeah. I like that stadium. I love that stadium. I went there when I was 5 years old when Three Rivers got tore down, and then I went to PNC. It was a rain delay game, so I didn't really see the whole game, but it was a nice stadium. I'd like to go back. I've been to Pittsburgh 3 times now. My friend used to have a house in the Alleghenies right by where, if you know where Bedford, Pennsylvania is. I went camping over there a lot, so at a young age.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. Hey, maybe we could see each other again whenever you come up here. So keep my eyes open.
Hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
That's good. But I guess jump into sticks, because I've had to ask about this too. I guess what sort of brand are your sticks?
I don't really have a particular brand that I like a whole lot, one other than the other. Vic Fir 5As, I've used those. Even Zildjian, there was like green ones. Zildjian brands, but mostly Vic Fir 5As. I have my answer here. And even the celebrity sticks, what I would find at the music store, like Ringo's or Pert's or even Dave Grohl's, like the Nirvana style things. But I'd say mostly Zildjian and Vic Fir 5As. Those were my go-to. And whatever other, yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I don't hear too much about Zildjian sticks, to be honest. Obviously, I hear about the cymbals for the obvious reason, but they try their own sticks every now and again. They try to maybe do a variety of different sticks, to be honest, because I've been kind of rolling with Collision for a good while.
No, not really. I mean, I'll pick up whatever I can find. My knowledge of brands isn't so good. I apologize. But whatever I can see at like Guitar Center or what was that? The music store is no longer in business where I am, unfortunately. But yeah, it was Vic Fir. That's what I pretty much rolled with. Or like the Zildjian brand. Sorry. I just came across it one time and I was like, I thought Zildjian only made cymbals or something. This is interesting. And then you see like the bands, they have like their own thing. They customize the sticks and all that stuff. But I still have the first pair of drumsticks to this day, and they still work great. I mean, they're wore down, of course, but I've only broken one in my life, so it's hard to believe.
How many did you break doing Rock Band, to be honest? Because I remember I was trying before I forget, and just one day it just broke, and I was waving up in the air, thinking like, what the hell's going on right here? I'm feeling pretty good. And it was like, oh. Yeah. I done broke it. How many did you break?
I broke one. I was playing not even a fast song. It was a slow song. And I feel some like, oh, what's going on? Oh, goodbye. I even took a picture. It's like, rip, first stick I've broken. It was like the 5th year into my drumming career. So
that's all good. So yeah, Rock Band memories, they stick with you too. I do agree. Rock Band 2 was the best one in terms of like how the whole set list was and everything.
For sure. Was it Green Grass and High Tides? That was on Rock Band 1. Yeah. I can't remember what the signature was. One was on 2. But yeah, Living on a Prayer, that was my favorite one in that game specifically.
That's a good question. I don't know what was the signature song that I guess used for like marketing or anything, because
could be.
There was really a whole lot on there, to be honest. And even Rock Band 1, there was a lot of fun songs to play because I remember just enjoying the hell out of Learn to Fly.
Oh yeah, that was one of my favorite songs actually by Foo Fighters. There was actually a drum video where I guess hundreds of drummers converged into like a park and they're all playing Learn to Fly. It's like, geez, how do they pull this off? And it's just like they're keeping time and everything. Look into the sky to save me. And it's like thousands of voices singing it as well. So.
Yeah, I think that's one of the better songs, to be honest. So.
Yeah, that and I think Best of You. Those were my top two by them. So.
Actually, that was more of it was on, actually, ironically, it was on the Van Halen Guitar Hero game. I don't know if it was ever on. I don't know if it was ever on any of the Rock Band games now I think about it. I do remember having fun with that one, too. Even just playing the guitar, too, to be honest. I think somehow I also got my Rock Band drum set to work for like maybe a couple times I wanted to try it out, too. So.
Yeah, I mean, all the times I've tried, it's just like, this is not working. Let's try to switch the batteries out, try to maybe charge the microphone or the controller, if any. And it's like, yeah, this is outdated. It doesn't work the way it used to. I just say stuff on eBay or something that no one's touched. Everything's going to be false and lousy to play, unfortunately.
Tragically. How about let's jump into this question right here, and then we'll jump into the fun questions right afterwards. So I guess describe the music scene in Houston, I guess pre-pandemic and now post-pandemic too.
Well, pre-pandemic, it was about a lot of little shows here and there. You see bands like Anthrax, they just did a show at one of the smaller venues, and there'll be huge bands like AC/DC. They came like years ago, but they'll play at the basketball arena, the stadium tour. Guns N' Roses just did a show with Alice in Chains, and it was pretty much how it was. Well, pre-pandemic, there wasn't a lot of stadium shows, and then COVID hit, and of course they had to move them. Now Minute Maid, the baseball stadium's getting a lot of stadium tours. Like Journey's coming, Def Leppard's coming, even like pop stars like Pink, if you want to go on that level. She's doing stadium shows as well. But other than that, I mean, we got a whole lot of small venues. We have a outside concert pavilion just north of town, very hot in the summertime, but there's a lawn, there's like seats, and then there's a stage, of course. The best concert I saw out there was, I think it was an older band, REO Speedwagon. They did a pretty good show out there. I've seen them 4 times. I'm going to see Creed there in September. That'll be a fun show. But yeah, the music scene, a lot of small places, of course the big stadiums, and they'll try to work around like where to play. But it's quite a drive if you live so far from Cynthia Woods, as we call it. But it's worth it, especially if you're seeing a band you like. They get everything from classic rock to alternative to rap. So a lot of shows.
Do you go with a family member, or do you tend to go by yourself whenever you go to some of these shows?
If I have no one to go with, and if it's like a free ticket, if I like win something on the radio, I'll just find a random person and just like, hey, if you want to go, fine. If not, it's all cool. Then I'll end up like selling the ticket. But I do have a concert buddy. He's my cousin, and we've been to so many shows together. I've seen Iron Maiden all 3 times with him, and he's normally the first guy I ask to go. Like, hey, you interested? Like, yeah, okay. Don't really know their music, but like Disturbed, I'm sure you heard of them. Had tickets to them. He was a little late, but I usually send him his ticket, and we meet up. So he's like a sidekick, if you will. He's into all the Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Metallica. He's a metalhead. So
I'll say you're a Batman, then he's Robin.
Yeah, pretty much. Batman
right.
and Robin. Batman.
Yeah. Batman. So special shout out to Michael Keaton being a fellow Pittsburgher. So it's all good.
For sure.
Yeah. I always do actually it was a question I always like to throw into these interviews too, because normally you want to know like what really happened in the world here too, because for me in particular, I was just kind of condensed my little bubble outside of like what was mainly just advertised on the news, for instance,
right.
Which is never really a good thing to get anything from. So
no, I agree.
But sometimes you hear like, some bars shut down, some preserved. Maybe they had to do takeout, change up some things here and there. but they still quote unquote preserved, and they're still going strong.
Yeah, that's like a lot of Houston, big food scene. I mean, we get tourists from all over that want to come try our barbecue and all this other fun stuff. And they still operated like to-goes, takeouts, all this other online deliveries, etc. And that's what's kept the city flowing. I mean, even Texas itself, like Austin, San Antonio, with all their good stuff. We have great seafood down by the Gulf Coast. But yeah, very good stuff. I mean, everyone prevailed. I think one of my pizzeria places closed, which I love so much. But ironically, they were doing busy. I mean, they were getting busy with all these to-goes and everything. I guess they just couldn't do the rent anymore with the location. It happens. And they operated under a new chain after that. So it is what it is.
Tragically. So it would be nice to maybe reopen at some point, but maybe not. We'll see what happens. Was that like a local family joint?
Yes and no. I mean, it was called Barry's Pizza, and Houston was the only place where you could get it. Like, you could buy salad dressings to take home. They had like this 11-topping pizza called the Barry's Special. Oh, geez, I lived on those. And coincidentally, there was one in one of our airports. I'm like, that can't be right. I mean, I thought it was just one location, but unfortunately, no longer. I miss that place. And I actually went there 5 days before they started shutting down. And I'm like, yeah, I'll come here more often to watch sports or whatever. Nope, not anymore.
Nope, they pulled the plug on you there, mate. So.
Oh, well.
Tragically.
I got it. Tragically, indeed.
But it's good to see Houston's doing pretty well there, too. Looks like everyone's starting to rebound. So hopefully bright days are ahead of us. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, survived it all. I mean, being as young as I am, I never thought something like this would happen. But, live through history. Like a lot of my friends said, it's scary, but as long as we're safe and healthy, we're alive to tell the tale. So that's that.
Amen to that. All right. So, Jordan, we breezed through the questions here pretty good, too. So I guess let's go ahead and jump to the fun ones. Ready?
Sure.
So I guess for the first one here, first off, do you drink by any chance?
Yeah, I'm a social drinker. If ever really like a bad day or rough day rather at work, we'll meet up at a local watering hole, just try some various stuff. More of a tap beer guy, and I like to go venture into other cities and try their local stuff as well. But any beer really, except for like stouts and ciders, I can't really stand them. So
I guess you wouldn't do well with the apple ciders, any of those ones.
Not really. It's too much like juice, and it's like they're just seltzering this up. It's like those Bud Light seltzers they came out with. Like, what the hell is this? Like, what are you doing? Yep. Oh, well.
I don't know. I will admit Green Apple from Angry Orchard is definitely one of the better drinks I've had in terms of alcoholic beverage.
That's the one I can actually tolerate, the Green Apple Angry Orchard. I mean, other than that, it's just like, yeah, this doesn't, it's not my thing. More of a Pilsner / maybe a few Bocks here and then, but some IPAs, depending on how strong they are. But we got a lot of good local breweries in Houston, and if you ever come down like St. Arnold, Eighth Wonder, Carbach, all those places. And that's what I've grown up on. So.
Yeah, everyone's got their microbreweries these days. Everyone and their grandma does. So.
Of course.
Instead of smoking like it was back in the day, now it's have a brewery in your front yard or backyard, whatever. Just try to throw it there somewhere.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. It's like, this used to be someone's garage, like a car shop or something. It's like, maybe they converted it into a brewery, and everyone comes and hangs out with the pets and everything. Very dog friendly.
I would say definitely community is definitely a good thing to have. I'd say that's definitely a thing that bridges divides. So let's keep it going, people.
Sure.
Do you have a favorite non-alcoholic drink? Was the next part of it?
Arnold Palmer, which is basically iced tea and lemonade mixed together. In terms of like soft drink, I'll do a Dr. Pepper or Coke every now and then. But you can make fun of me for this one, but I love unsweet tea. We have Sonic, the drive-in place. They have the best unsweet teas on the planet. And it's like, I never really was a sweet tea person, other than like maybe half and half every once in a while. But yeah, Arnold Palmer and iced tea. That's like favorite non-alcoholic stuff. If I'm like out to dinner or whatever, iced tea with lemon, good stuff.
Actually, what's the alcoholic name whenever you add vodka to it? I think it's still iced tea and lemonade. I just don't know.
It might be Long Island iced tea. I'm not sure. It could be.
No, I think there's a golfer's name involved. I forget what it was too. They're gonna probably hit me for it too. But good choice nonetheless.
Of course, thank you.
I would say, do you ever go heavy with like the quick drinks at times, like a Long Island iced tea?
Not really. Every once in a while, it'll be like a Moscow Mule, which is like ginger beer and vodka. Other than that, I'll do a margarita every once in a while. Down here, good Tex-Mex, Mexican food, and a margarita on the rocks works good with all that stuff. Other than that, I'll try. Not really a gin fan, not really a bourbon fan. Just those two I selected. Other than the beer and all that stuff.
As you mentioned about Coke, I thought maybe you would also like a Captain and Coke.
Yeah, Jack and Coke every once in a while. Yeah, if it's like at a social hangout or if I'm just home, want to, hey, pour this Jack that's been sitting on the counter forever. Why not? I don't think they last pretty well. Like vodka lasts years and all that other hard liquor stuff you can keep forever. So
it's funny you mention that too, because I remember one Christmas I went to one of my aunt's house and I ended up with a bottle of Jameson, which I probably never even drank. I feel like it's still upstairs, just sitting there, just been collecting dust the whole time.
Nice. So. Yeah, I do like a green tea shot every once in a while. It's Jameson and peach schnapps, and that's like whenever our team wins a playoff game, take a green tea shot, or just socializing. Other than that, so
I'm actually starting to grow around peach schnapps. To be honest, it's actually very good. I will admit that.
Yeah, scary thing is that sometimes they don't taste alcoholic, and too much of them, you're in trouble. Yeah. That's sort of like what they do with Jello shots, which is vodka. It's like a thing of Jello. You just shoot it. Like, you don't do those.
It's a one throat, as we like to call it too. Or you don't chew it up. I do remember having a couple of those, so I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's like every person was like, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to lick it like this. And like, yeah, that's too much for me.
No, I want to enjoy it. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to bite into it.
Yeah, me as well. So. Like, I'm just sipping. I'm not slamming it. So
I don't know. It was a college experience too. So
we live and we learn.
Yep. Actually, because of the wear down in Houston, I know because one time I had a family member who was living down there just like real briefly. And sometimes when I check in the temperature, it was like 100 degrees, good humidity and everything too. And when it finally gets to night where the sun's finally behind, it's still high humidity and still in the high 90s. How do you guys deal with that?
Tell me about it. Yeah, tell me about it. I mean, it can be 95 with 80% humidity. You feel like it's like almost 110. Even just simple walks to the mailbox, you're drenched in sweat. And that's just from like the Gulf Coast and the swamps we have down here in the South. Yeah, it's unbearable at times, but the winters we get, everyone bitches if it's like 55, like, oh, it's cold. Yeah, we had a freeze a few years ago, and that was pretty bad, but I can tolerate 50s. I just don't know why. So
50s are nothing. You guys can take it. I wear shorts out in 50s.
Yeah, same sometimes. Just like a long sleeve, put some athletic shorts, you're good to go. It's good running weather.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right. For the next two, they kind of deal with your drum covers in a way, too. So I guess, of all the drum covers you have done, which one would you consider has been your favorite?
There's a select few. I really liked playing, of course, Won't Get Fooled Again, as mentioned. And then that Iron Maiden song, Alexander the Great, which I really hope they play live this tour. I mean, I don't want any spoilers, but that was a pretty fun one, despite it being 8 minutes long or so, even though it took a while to get that middle part down. And I think my most favorite cover that I played was the 2112 from Rush. Not too hard in terms of like knowing what to do. It's just like all the fills and stuff, especially at the end where it's just like, attention, we have to assume control. That was one of my favorite ones to play. And I have another one, Octavarium, Dream Theater. It's like a 24-minute marathon. It took me like 100 tries to nail that cover, but finally did it. And it was like, you've reached the end. I'm like, thank God. I'm not doing this again, at least for a while. You have that feeling you finally get it, and it's like, I'm done for a bit. So, but yeah, I'd say Alexander the Great, Octavarium, and 2112. Those were my top three covers that I loved playing.
I would say Octavarium. It was actually my introduction to Dream Theater because it was Panic Attack that was on Rock Band too.
Mm-hmm. And oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I love that song.
You just start off with the bass line and everything, and then it all comes rushing in at once. Yeah, it's like the lowest song.
With that. Yep.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, especially with that double kick in the intro, like this is how it's gonna be, huh? Okay, let's do it.
Let's play. All right, Portnoy, I accept your challenge. So
yeah, then he went away, came back. We're expecting good things out of this band now, so we'll see.
I guess what was your opinion of Mike Mangini, or we like to call him the Genie?
Funny story. I actually did see Green Day, Dream Theater in Austin at the University Bass Concert Hall, I think they call it. Mangini was the drummer. He impressed me. He did like a drum solo in the middle of the show, and it's like, well, he has the skills. I mean, it's not like Portnoy, how he got like so technical with all his stuff and styles and whatever. Different drum kit as well, but they played all the hits from like Dark Eternal Night. I mean, they skipped like the Angels song. I think he was actually on that originally, but I would have liked to see him do that one. But yeah, I was impressed. I mean, I didn't have anything against him. It's just, oh, great to have another original member back. There's actually a story about one of my favorite bands who actually had a drummer and came back, if I can indulge, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Coheed and Cambria. Coheed and Cambria, a band from upstate New York. Their drummer recorded the first 3 albums with them, Josh Eppard, and he got like into heroin. He was a bad addict, and the band said, you got to quit. You got to go clean up. So they had another drummer, not nearly as good as him. And then Eppard comes back, cleans up 2 albums later. He's been with the band ever since, and his style of playing is good. I mean, more progressive, I guess. They're like story band. Like they have concept albums, but I've seen them 4 times in concert. So, but back to Mangini. Like I said, no hate against him. Good drummer. But, I'd like to see Mike Portnoy this time, because that was the only time I ever saw Dream Theater. But good stuff.
Yeah. I would say in terms of influences, most people have always listed Portnoy. You don't get a whole lot of the Mangini, which I feel bad too, because I was even listening to a couple songs like The Alien, for instance. I think like, this guy's fucking phenomenal. I mean, why are you guys dissing on him or something like that too?
Right. Especially if you hear like the Change of Seasons medley or whatever it's called. Well, I think that was with Portnoy, I think, or was it? I can't remember. Good stuff. I mean, these long marathons, they play like the longest one was 42 minutes. Like, jeez Louise. Like, I think Pert would have like watched a drummer learn it. Like, impressive. Like, he even I guess he even saw drummers and said, I need to work on that. Even Pert was like, I got to work on this or whatever. Greatest ones in the world have their mistakes. So
that's for sure too. I guess speaking of which, since it seems like you played a good number of like long songs, to be honest too, I guess which one of the songs really made you like either give up or come back after a while to finish? It's like one of those other fun questions there.
I would have to say another Dream Theater song off the Octavarium album. It was called Sacrifice Sons. And it's about 9/11, and I did it as like a tribute for the victims or whatever one year. And months in advance, I'm like trying to learn these stupid like fills, and where it's like they go back to the original main riff. It's like, yeah, this is taking a while. It's only like a 9-minute song, but like when I finally got it down, I'm like, yeah, that's over for a while. Like I said about the 2112 thing. But Sacrifice Sons by Dream Theater, or that Iron Maiden song, Alexander the Great, which that's why they never play it live, I guess, because it's so hard. But those are my 2 that I finally nailed after months, not weeks, I guess, of learning. So weeks and months.
I'll tell you, man, I think the longest one I played was Death Angels, The Ultraviolence, and that took forever just to try to learn that thing down too. So I don't know. I always feel like I draw the line, to be honest, unless it's a song I really want to do it. So I mean, I've listened to it, but it does seem like you really step up to the challenge to do these progressive, very hard songs too, from like Portnoy and all those guys.
Yeah, it's funny because you are sitting at that kit for so long, and before you know it, you're done. It's like, 12 minutes, that flew by quick. Like, you think about Iron Maiden, as old as they are, they can still play these fucking long songs. They're like 10 plus minutes, and they're in their 60s. Like, wow. I mean, it doesn't seem like they're slowing down because they're still making new music to this day. But 17 albums, I think they're at right now. It's crazy.
Something like that. Even though I think Bruce doesn't really have the voice as he did back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, well, cancer, of course, went through it, and he still makes an effort. I mean, he can still nail those notes, like on Flight of Icarus especially, but not the same, like you said, as he was like Power Slave and rhyme of the ancient mariner, all that stuff. So.
Let alone Aces High. Let's say.
Oh, that song. Aces High.
Actually, if they open with that one and also play at some point Fear of the Dark, that'll be the best night ever. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, yeah. Now, each time I've seen them, they played Fear of the Dark and Aces High, all 3 shows. So.
I think I would know it as soon as, because I think they always open with like a speech monologue from Winston Churchill whenever they do Aces High. So at least know that they're getting ready to play.
Yeah, that's right. And then like all that plane footage, it's like, yes, oh, I forgot the words, but yeah.
Aces High, yeah, okay. But I guess for the last fun questions here, I guess what would you consider is your favorite song?
I have a couple. Definitely Imagine by John Lennon. I know it's like not rock heavy, but being a big Beatles fan and just with all the crap going on in the world, like that song really hits a whole lot. I won't go into it, but it just lets us learn to appreciate one another, what we do have, not to take anything for granted. Just like imagine all this stuff, a world without all this stuff he mentioned. And unfortunately, no longer with us. It's funny, all the musicians that I guess, or the people rather, that say try to get along together, it's like it doesn't end well for them. But Pretender by Foo Fighters, also one of my favorites, just because of the drumming that Taylor Hawkins does in it. Those are, I guess, my top 2 off the top of my head.
Good choices too. Actually, I did hear Imagine the other night when it was actually I was trying to remember if it was karaoke night actually, because we do that at the local restaurant I work at.
Yeah.
So I wonder if somebody did it. So
nice.
I can't remember. You tend to get a little distracted when you're so busy back there doing wing specials and everything else. I
did have one other one. It was an alternative song, Lightning Crashes by Live. I don't know why. I just like that song. It doesn't really tell a good story. But you hear it on the radio. It's just like mellow intro. Then it kicks into the drums. Lightning Crashes. Also a good one. I don't know why a lot of people don't list that in the top alternative songs, but I think it should be. So.
I think I tend to not like those songs when it's like, how to explain it? Sometimes there's like those bands with like those crazy titles, for instance, too, like Who Speaks Spanish? Quesadilla, or like Devil Wears Prada, for instance. It's like, it has nothing to do with that at all. It's like maybe a bit more of a different, maybe lyrical theme or something. I'm not too sure, but you know what I'm talking about. Those bands that do like that sort of lyrical style.
Mm-hmm. Like a Fall Out Boy, for instance. A lot of people thought they were, I don't know. A lot of people said, is that a different language they're doing? And like Sugar We're Going Down. Like, no, it's just, you got to listen. So good band too.
Yeah, I remember those days. So, Jordan, we're reaching into my podcast right here where you're down to one more question. Before we jump into it, did you have any questions for me or any final words you want to say before we close?
Yes, thanks for having me. Talked a lot about young influences I had, and I've enjoyed being here. Thank you.
That's good to hear. And also, thanks for sharing your message, too, about younger drummers who are up and coming as well, too. So stay in school, kiddies. So let's make it work, too.
Always.
But in terms of the last question right here, this is kind of how it goes, too. So also with COVID, obviously, you've dealt with a little personal tragedy. But for some of those people who got hit by COVID or whether it was before COVID, I guess, what sort of message of hope could you give to musicians and people out there as we try to move forward in a post-COVID world?
Well, it's all almost over now. Everything's starting to go back into normalcy, if that's even the thing. But, for those who had troubles during the pandemic and everything, I just want to say don't give up. Keep listening to music. And like I told the younger guys, keep rocking and never give up on what you think you can do because, you keep at it. You have a passion, it can go a long way. And as long as we have each other in this little rock community or music community for that matter, doesn't matter what genre you like, everything should be fine. Just keep going to concerts, go see the bands, because that's another point. You don't know when the last time you'll see them. Taylor Hawkins, of course, rest in peace. And go out, live your life, do your dreams. You'll be successful. All I got to say.
Spoken like a true prodigy. Right.
Of course.
And rest in peace to the drummers who have passed away too. Taylor Hawkins, Neil Peart. I guess anyone else we haven't named here in this interview too. So
of course.
That's all good. So Jordan, we've reached the end of my podcast right here. And boy, we talked actually a little over an hour and 10 minutes right now. So I guess got any final words, any shout outs you wanted to give before we close?
Shout out to the music community. My cousin Cash Sanders. I'm calling you out, my concert goer. We're going to go to a lot more shows. Family, thank you for supporting me. Thanks for being there for me. And rock on. Have a great rest of your life and go into shows, whatever. Sorry, that didn't really work well.
Hey, it works. That's all good. But I guess what shows you got planned this year?
Well, big ones, the Stones. That's going to be at our football stadium, which with Mick and Keith basically at this point. Creed, Iron Maiden, and Vampire Weekend of all shows, like an indie rock band, coming over to Austin for that solar eclipse we're doing. So it's like a thing they're doing with the solar eclipse. It's an afternoon show. Never been to one, so we'll see how it goes.
I will recommend, if you do have a good smartphone, whether it's like the iPhone or any of those Androids or whatever, and say record as many songs as you want, because that's what I did with the one concert I went to this year. It was Story of the Year. I actually got that up on my YouTube channel, so you're welcome to go check it out. So that's when I came to Pittsburgh and totally kicked some ass too. And actually, I had filmed a couple other groups that performed before them, which was We the Kings and Youth Fountain. I want to make sure I pronounce it right too. I always pronounce that band wrong for some reason. But I'll leave it up to you, mate. So enjoy the shows and everything too. And I guess if you somehow end up in a band at some point, good luck to you. So
thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate it.
So I guess before we do close, what social media are you on for the audience? Just before we close.
All socials, X, Instagram, J_Welch2795. Funny story behind that. I was my 2 varsity numbers in high school. On Facebook, I'm Jordan Welch. I got a picture of me batting, doing some softball, if you can find me there. Once again, J_Welch2795 on the X and the Gram.
All right. Enjoy softball league too there, mate. You take care.
Thank you very much. All right.
So everyone, my guest today was Jordan Welch, showing from Houston, Texas right here. So good luck to the Astros this year. Go hit him up on the social and everything too. Subscribe to his channel and everything. This guy's going to do some wonders out there. And hey, see him at the show right there. Have a drink with him, as they would like to say for the AC/DC song. So,
of course.
Okay. All right. Jordan, you stay safe. Rock on there, mates. Stay tuned, y'all.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you.